Yes, I'm there, Chair.
Yes, so this is the statement dated 25 November 2021 from Brigadier Nyuso. Right, you see that? Then I want to go to the following page at the bottom. These paragraphs are not numbered. 585, the very last paragraph.
Yes.
Now, somewhat, Brigadier Nyusa seems to suggest, rather, that when he arrived at the DPCI offices, the members, he says, let me just read it for the record. When we arrived at the Potchefstroom DPCI SOCI, the investigators had finished offloading the exhibits, and the exhibits were placed in the safe in the presence of Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo. We were then shown the exhibits. The safe was then locked, and the safe key and the spare key was given to Major General Senona for safekeeping. Right? Now, what would be your comment with his version? He doesn't seem to say you arrived at the same time. He seems to say it was after.
When we got there, they were there.
So, sorry, just speak up here.
I'm saying when we arrived in Potchefstroom, they were there.
Okay, so this version...
We arrived at the same time.
Okay, so he would be wrong in this version.
I cannot respond on his affidavit, but I'm saying when
they are contradicting each other.
Yeah, because I've got also my own version that I'm saying, then that's his version, then I cannot dispute it.
Okay, and then in terms of the key, your version is the key was handed over to Warrant Mpangase, right?
Colonel Prinsloo handed over the keys to Mpangase.
So Brigadier Nyusa says they were shown the exhibits, right? The safe was locked. He doesn't say by who, though, at this point. And the safe key were handed to Major General Senona for safekeeping.
Yes, the key Mpangase handed them over to General Senona.
Okay, so it's just that he's missing Mpangase in this point.
In this point, yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. So ultimately, the key ended up with General Senona.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask the question? Why were these, on the day itself, you are now in Potchefstroom, why were they not put in evidence bags on that day when you got to Potchefstroom?
Chair, if I can tell you, I'll assume that maybe no one thought of it, because I was contacted the following morning I was requested by Mpangase the following morning to say that no, we needed to go back to Potchefstroom to pack the exhibits. I think maybe it was also that it was late in the afternoon.
Yeah, but the place remains open as long as you need to work.
Yes.
And I think, and I note that you say maybe. So no discussion came up about these must be put in evidence bags before we leave this place. No such discussion happened.
I don't remember such discussion taking place, Chair.
Okay. And the same about entering them in the SAP 13, sorting that process out. That never came up because now it's you and Warrant Officer Mpangase, right? The others were there to escort you from Isipingo. So it's now the two of you.
Yes.
Between the two of you, there was no thought or discussion that we have to put these, record them in the SAP 13. We've booked them out somewhere. They must be accounted for as booked in. It didn't come up.
It didn't on the day, on the 22nd. It's only in the morning when he came and requested that we should go there.
So we had a situation where these drugs were unaccounted for officially on the system. They were, because there's no record of it. You booked them out. For all we care, they could easily have been in Umlazi or wherever I'm just making the point. The point I'm making is there is no record. Once you have booked them out, once Mpangase signed them out for analysis, because that's what he says, takes them out for analysis, they landed Port Shepstone on the 22nd. By the time everyone goes to sleep on the 22nd, these are not accounted for in the records of the SAPs. Because they are not booked in, they just were delivered. So far that's been the evidence. It's not just you who says that. They got there, they were just put in the vault or in the safe, the key, and then locked, the safe locked and the key given to General Senona. So, and I'm really making the observation to you that, so for all intents and purposes, from that point, in fact, starting earlier when you were transporting them for analysis, and we know they don't go to the lab, they land at a place which is not recorded anywhere in the system until you are back the following day. They are not in bags, in evidence bags, and they're not recorded in any subsystem at that point. You accept that?
I think for me, Chair, I took comfort in the fact that the chain of custody was intact of the exhibit.
What does that mean when you say that?
It means that when the exhibit left Sipingo to Potchefstroom, 541 was accounted for in Potchefstroom, and the vault was locked. The following day, when we were going to repack the exhibits, we recounted the exhibit and we backed them, and still the same number.
But I'm correct to say they were unaccounted for. You say you took comfort. Yes. So I wasn't asking whether were you not concerned or not. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking an objective fact. I'm putting to you an objective fact, which is they were checked out, signed out, under the pretext that they are going for analysis. They did not go to a lab. We know that, right? So if anyone looked at the Isipingo SAP 13 of the 22nd, wanting to know where are these exhibits, right? There was no knowing where they landed. All from that SAP 13.
Yes.
There was no knowing.
Yeah.
Until you came back on the 23rd, and then you started recording and doing. In fact, you then put them in bags.
That would be the 24th, Chair.
Okay. No, you returned on the 23rd.
We returned on the 23rd.
Yes.
We put all the exhibit in the forensic bags.
Okay.
Then we left again.
So they were still not recorded in the system.
Then on the 24th, Mpangase informed me that he was advised by Kenneth Jacob to go to Potchefstroom, take samples, and then book the exhibit at the SAP 13 in Potchefstroom.
So he took samples even before he booked them. Is that what it means?
Yes.
So samples, so they were tampered with, yes, on the instruction of Jacob to say to Mpangase, take samples. So they were tampered with to take samples so that the samples can be taken to the lab. And when I say tampered with, I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm not. I see you're smiling and you're preparing to correct me. I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm saying you've got these bricks that are sitting in a room in the vault.
Yes.
And all that has happened is they've been now on the 23rd put in evidence bags,
yes.
right? Now we know you did that on the 23rd. Yes. But there's no recorder of what's in that vault that relates to these exhibits, right? Until the 24th, when you go back. You say to us, Mpangase came to you and say, I have an instruction to go and take samples and then enter this in the SAP 13. So samples are being taken from bricks, from exhibits that are not yet entered on the system of the SAPs. It's that which I'm trying to clarify in my head. That's correct. Am I correct in that description?
We normally take samples, Chair. We take samples, we use presumptive test to test samples. So Mpangase was briefed as to how we must take the samples. That is why when we got to Potchefstroom, he was the one taking samples.
Yes, the issue, I'm not taking issue, at least for my conversation with you.
Yeah.
I'm not taking issue with the fact that samples were taken. That's not the emphasis. The emphasis is there's an instruction to take samples from exhibits that are not yet booked in the SAP 13. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Am I correct in my understanding of that's what happened? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see that.
And then he came back to us, he told us that he's done.
So the SAP clerk did not see the exhibits. So the SAP 13 was out seeing the exhibits.
Yes. He did not see the exhibit because we can't even say maybe he went back because we left Potchefstroom with the key to Durban. So he did not see it, but he signed for them.
Yeah. And maybe just so that I understand, so when he, from the one SAP 13, the Isipingo one,
Yes.
right? We have seen that what is recorded is each bag and the details of each bag and what is in the bag, right? That's what happened with the Isipingo one. So with the Potchefstroom one, the SAP 13, on what basis was it completed with the SAP 13 clerk if he doesn't have the exhibits and therefore he doesn't have the evidence bags and the evidence bag numbers? He doesn't have those details. How does he complete?
Warandu Sampangase went with the list of all the exhibit bag numbers and then he completed the SAP 13. I did not have sight of the SAP 13, but I know that he said he booked them in and out.
Okay, so you didn't see what he did?
I did not see. I did not see.
On that one, but you confirm that the clerk did not see the exhibits?
I can confirm that the clerk did not see because from Potchefstroom SAPS, we went back to Potchefstroom Organized Crime where we dropped off Mkomo. Then we went straight to provincial office in Durban where Mpangase went and handed over the key.
And that's not how it's properly done. If it's done properly, that's not how to do it.
The SAP 13 clerk should have demanded to see the exhibit.
Yes.
Yeah, but she didn't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Colonel Jacobs comes back, right? And do you and Warrant Officer Mpangase brief him when he comes back?
He was supposed to be briefed by the investigating officer. I did not brief him.
Okay. And then you say then at your paragraph 19, on 1 July 2021, I was requested by Colonel Jacob to go with him and Warrant Officer Mpangase to the depot.
Yes.
To unpack the container, and then you went there, right? Did the count. Can you just explain to me what was your role at the CHC depot on the 1st of July?
The 1st of July, we got there. There was a person, I don't know whether he's a clearing agent or he came with the packing list, and there were also laborers there. So the container was opened. The laborers, they moved the bags. We inspected the container. We confirmed that the packing list corresponds with the number of bags. And then Colonel Jacob handed over to that person that was with us there.
So what would have been your role? What's significant for you about that and yourself? And what role did you play there?
I was just accompanying them. go there.
What was the purpose of you going there to count the bags?
Not necessarily counting, Chair.
Sorry, say that?
We were not going there for only counting the bags. We were still conducting a further inspection to see did we not miss anything on the day.
Yes. Well, you see, the thing is, you say in your statement, which is exactly what Colonel Jacob wrote in his own statement. You say, we conducted a count. We went to do an unpack on the container. We proceeded there. We conducted a count of that number of bags of animal feed. This corresponded with a packing list, and then we released the container. So on your most recent statement, where you speak about the investigating case, for further investigation, in fact, let me use your language, you don't, and him as well. He doesn't say in his statement, we went back for further investigation and this is what we did when we got there. He says, we went back to do a count to verify that the number of bags corresponds with the packing list. Now, I don't understand why that is your problem, that the number of bags correspond with the packing list. What does that have to do with you? SAPS. When I say you, SAPS. In fact, I want to suggest to you it has nothing to do with the SAPS, that the bags correspond, the number of bags corresponds with the list. But that's what you've said. And it's word for word what Colonel Jacob says in his own statement. Doesn't speak about investigating. And what I suggested, in fact, let me put this to you, what I suggested to him. I suggested to him that this was a charade, It wanted to give appearances that we continued to investigate the docket. There was nothing amiss. This was a serious matter. We were investigating the docket. That's why we went back on that day. And I don't accept that explanation. And I want to put it to you as well, that you may have been unwittingly or unknowingly participating in, I think there is stronger language for my saying this doesn't make sense, and I'm going to use that stronger language, that you may in fact unknowingly have been participating in appearances of an investigation, because it just does not make sense that the SAPS will take 3 people, a senior colonel, 2 warrant officers, one of whom, this is not his everyday job, go to a container, open, count the bags, and we must go with what you say in your statement. You went there, you counted the bags, and you said, bye-bye. We must go with your explanation. So it doesn't make sense. There is another reason why this happened. Otherwise, you are wasteful of SAP time and resources in circumstances where there is serious crime to be investigated in the country. Then you are completely irresponsible, all of you, to use time to go and count bags to make sure it complies with the packing list. And in your favor, out of generosity for you, I want to say that was not the reason you went there. You went there for a more serious reason. The question is, what is that reason? And my suggestion is it's to create appearances of an investigation, because nothing else about this visit makes sense.
I don't agree with that, Chairperson.
You don't agree?
Hence, the laborers were requested to come and assist unpack the container. We went there to inspect the container of further narcotics, and we saw that there was nothing. Then the container was then handed over to the relevant person.
And you say, so all you did, you got the container emptied?
Yes, the laborers...
No, that's not what happened.
What happened?
You didn't empty the container. Your commander, who was in charge of the scene on the day, said you didn't empty the container, you took out the first few bags, and from the first few bags you knew that no, there's nothing, all is good. So you're contradicting Colonel Jacob yet again. When you say the laborers emptied the container, that's not his evidence.
The bags were taken out of the container, Chair.
So Colonel Jacob lied to us when he said the container was not emptied, only the front bags, and then you checked around and you were satisfied from the smell that and the number of bags that correspond with the list that all is good. He was untruthful when he told us that's what happened.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying he told you that the reason for going there is to look for more drugs?
He said we needed to go and conduct a further inspection on the container to establish if maybe there was something that we did not pick up on that day.
Okay.
Can I raise something else as well about this account of this visit? It's not in your earlier statements. You've gone with the chair through the statements. Your first statement is at
Page 633.
6333.
Yes.
Yes. So your first statement is at page 633, and this is your statement that is dated the 27th of January 2022. So they're fresh in your mind. You don't say anything about this visit of the 1st of July. You end at paragraph 15, where you say, during the time, I cannot recall the date, Mpangase handed over to me a file and 5 samples to hand over. That's paragraph 15 at page 635. And then you have a second statement, shorter statement, at page 646, which is in May, the 12th May 2022. It's a 1-paragraph statement, and you're talking about what happened on the 24th. You don't, in both statements, mention a visit on the 1st of July. You mention it for the first time in this statement that you filed on the 1st of July. It mentions that visit in exactly the same terms as Colonel Jacob's paragraph on this. It seems to me that given that in the immediate aftermath of this incident, you say nothing about it. It's a recent invention that there was a visit and we've gone through that with Colonel Jacob, that even the depot manager mentions it much later. They don't mention it in the first visit, in their first statement. So it seems, it gives appearances that this is a creation, a new creation of something that's supposed to have happened on the 1st of July, when in fact nothing like that happened. And you would have it here because you and Colonel Jacob had a discussion and agreed to add this, especially because this trip doesn't make sense in the way you explain it. It looks like this is something that you agreed to manufacture and add here, because otherwise you would have mentioned it in your earlier statements where you account for your involvement.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, you want to say something?
I want to say something, sir. I don't dispute the fact that it is not included in my first 2 statements. But that does not necessarily mean that it never happened. Police vehicles have got a tracker. The tracker can be requested, and then you'll see that indeed on the day of the 1st, we went there. That is all that I'm prepared to say.
Well, you're supposed to explain why it's not in your statement, because if it's not in your earlier statements, which are made immediately after, not immediately, but shortly after the incident of these drugs getting lost, right? This is in January, I think in January and in May. but it's early in 2022, the first half of 2022, you purport to give an account of what happened, your involvement with this, what you know from your involvement. That's what you're doing, giving an account. And then you don't account for the very last visit to the container. You have to explain why. And the
Chair.
explanation has to be satisfactory so that we don't make anything amiss about why it's only appearing for the first time on the 1st of June.
I will say, Chair, it's an omission from my part, but the person at the depot can also confirm that indeed members came to inspect the container.
Well, the problem with the person at the depot is her first statement, like yours, says nothing about this visit. And it is only in a clarification statement
I understand.
that she says there were Hawks members here, and it's problematic as well for that reason that, in fact, I think the suggestion that has been made is that, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Silo will correct me, I think that statement was taken by, not by Colonel Jacob,
Mashau.
no? It was Mashau?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So the suggestion that has been made regarding that statement is, well, she seems also to have been reached out. Someone spoke to her and say, put in something in your new statement that we were there on the 1st of July, because there's no explanation why it's not in the first statement. That's the problem that this creates.
I can see
You understand?
I understand that, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
But for confirmation, Chair, we can get the records of the vehicle.
Okay, thank you.